Okay, you guys. So we are doing Depression era recipes. That's what this playlist is going to be all about. Remember, they had a staple of potatoes. So anytime they stood in the food lines, they were always given a big bag of potatoes. And they had to figure out, you know, what they were going to make, what they were going to do for their family to have a decent meal. So we're going to take these few potatoes right here, and we're going to dice them up. Now, they didn't have many seasonings back then either, so it's not going to have a lot of seasonings because it's a Depression era video, Depression era recipe playlist. So it's really, really good when you're talking about frugality, budgeting, low income, whatever, what have you. So it's simple. I'm telling you guys, the simplicity of this is amazing. Now, you can also get, they would fry like, I call them corn fritters, but they would take ground cornmeal and they would fry corn fritters to go with this. Or they would make homemade biscuits if they had the flour on hand. And again, they would use like ground meal, all that. But there was the milk, eggs, butter, all that was very, very limited. So the bread was used very sparingly. So we're going to do this skillet for a poor man's meal from the Depression, okay? Dice the potatoes first. Now, growing your own onions in this period was essential. In fact, whatever you could grow on your own in that time was really, really important because everything was limited. Like everything. And nobody wanted to stand in a food line. Like nobody. Who wants to stand in a food line? And I mean, they would give you a bag of flour. It had to last you a month. So you had to be sparingly in what you made. Like, you couldn't just sit there and be like, ooh, I got some strawberries in my deep freezer down underground and I'm going to do this. And, you know, they had to do all kinds of things. Like, and of course, they like desserts too. Who doesn't like dessert, right? So this skillet is good, but it's made from cheaper ingredients. So we leave our onions just like that. Again, if you can grow your own onion, you're real good. Now, I got these hot dogs from the dollar store. They were $1.25 a pack. So, you know, we're talking about Depression era cooking. So that's $1.25 a pack, okay? If you're on a budget, you're strict, you have bills, like your food grocery budget's really, really small, then you want to keep watching this because it's really delicious. It's really good. Is it something you want to eat all the time? I wouldn't recommend it, but if you have to for a short period of time, it's not going to cause harm. I mean, you know, we all go through it, okay? So we're going to take our hot dogs. This is Bar S brand. Following that, you know, cheap recipe kind of idea. And we're going to chop them into pieces, okay? Now, I got 2 packs because we're a family of 4. And I'm sure this is something that everybody's going to like eating. Again, it's a budget-friendly, cheap, economical meal. So we're going to cut them about like that. going to take a little bit of the Smart Balance oil. Of course, they didn't have that back in the day. They used lard. And I could take some bacon grease, but this is all pretty bad enough. So I'm going to take some Smart Balance oil. Remember, back in the day, they used lard. And we're going to heat that up a little bit. Y'all remember I need a new stove. And I'm definitely getting it this year. I keep telling y'all that. But I definitely am. So we're going to let that heat up just a little bit. And the first thing that we're going to throw in there is our onion. And that is a whole onion. And we're going to let that get translucent. Now remember, they didn't have a lot of seasonings back in the Depression era. They had to go with what they had. And we're going to try to follow that to the best of our ability. I'm not going to lie, I might add a little extra seasoning to mine, but I'm going to try to follow it the best I can. Now they did have garlic. They did have garlic, so I am going to add garlic. They didn't have jarred garlic, but I'm going to make a shortcut, y'all. And I am going to do some minced garlic in here with the jar. So we're going to just let that heat up really good. Alright, so I am going to take, I need to buy some more, y'all. I'm out. This is going to be consistent with about a tablespoon of garlic that we're going to put in here with our onion. I almost want to bang this on the pan, y'all. Because back then, again, they were very limited on seasoning. There's nothing, to me, nothing better smelling than onion and garlic cooking. So we're going to just let that cook together, and then we're going to throw those potatoes in there. Now it's going to take those potatoes a little bit. Now, back in the Depression, lots of people didn't have power. There was no electricity, so they were over a wood stove where they had a pot, just like the wagon trail days, with logs and fire going and all that. And they cooked over a wood fire pit. Luckily today, we have electricity and we don't have to do all that. But I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it. I mean, I think it's nice. So let's those cook together and we will be right back with you. Alright y'all, so those onions are starting to become translucent, so we're going to go ahead and drop all those potatoes in there. And y'all know, it takes potatoes a good minute, but when they were cooking over a wood fire pit, it didn't take as long as how we are so convenient with electricity and on an electrical range, right? Our stovetop. So the stovetop takes a lot longer than over an open wood fire pit like they had to use. Now the richer people, of course, they might have had electricity, but the majority of people, their electricity was cut off. I mean, they had to learn how to persevere, you know. So we're gonna let these potatoes, onions, and garlic cook here and just leave it alone. Now we don't want the potatoes to get mushy because we've got to add in other ingredients. But we do want them to get fork tender. So we're going to leave it alone and we will come back. It reminds me of a wagon trail meal, for real. Now, y'all, of course they had salt back in the Depression, so we're going to do a little bit of salt. But we don't want to do a lot because hot dogs have salt already. So we're just going to do a little bit. And we're going to just let that keep cooking. And this was probably one of the better meals that they had back then. Because, y'all, they ate lard sandwiches, sugar sandwiches, I mean, water gravy. Like, there's a lot of struggles back in that period. So we're just going to keep letting that cook. Alright, y'all, we're going to add our hot dogs in, and we're going to blend that in really well to make sure everything cooks evenly. So we're just going to give it a good stir. Man, y'all, this smells good. Like, I'd eat it today. I don't see anything wrong with it, honestly. But remember, these hot dogs, I try to keep it as close to the Depression era as I possibly could. So I bought these at the dollar store. They were $1.25 a pack. And I got 2 packs of them, and they are the Bar S brand. So this meal right here, so far, would be lower than $5 for a plate. Alright, y'all, our potatoes are tender, so now it's time to add the beans. I can't remember how many cans of beans they were given in a month's supply. I want to say it was 2 tall cans, but I'm not sure. I don't know for sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to just act like it was a can, okay? So we're going to add a can of baked beans. And this recipe reminds me